All right, Airsoft Junkies back here again. So now we're going to tune the SMP. This is actually the ICS L85. It's already tuned. In semi, when you shoot, of course, you're going to have semi, full auto. You're going to have full auto. All right, so a lot of issues that I see coming into the shop are people who have their dwell turned all the way up and their rate of fire is turned all the way up. So what this is going to do when you pull the trigger in full auto, it's going to just hold the valve straight open, and then it makes people seem that they have an air leak. So that's a lot of issues that people are running into. The best way to set your settings is just leave your rate of fire where it's at when it comes from the factory default, or just set right to the center. All right. For your dwell, go ahead and just adjust your regulator to the PSI input pressure that you want to use, whether it be anywhere between 40 and 120 PSI, no more than 120, no less than 40 for the operating PSI inputs for the Wolverine system. This one here, I have it set at about 80 PSI. The easiest way to do this is to have a chrono on hand. If you don't have a chrono on hand, it is going to be a little difficult. When you get to the field, I recommend just giving yourself an adjustment. Basically, you're going to have your dwell turned all the way up. At this point, you're going to go ahead and you'll chrono firing semi. When that happens, you're basically most likely going to see inconsistency in your FPS. Go ahead at that point and start to turn down your dwell, and go ahead and just fire yourself a couple more shots and see where you end up. Continue turning down your dwell until your consistency has basically stabilized. You should be around about plus or minus 3 FPS in between your shots. Also that takes into consideration you have a good air seal between your bucking. But that's basically to where you want to tune your system. You should even have better consistency than that. In this system here, the consistency is about 1.5 FPS in between each shot. So go ahead and just continue turning down your dwell until you get to the settings you want. Like I said, if you are at that point to where you're pulling the trigger and your valve's just holding open, that means you have the rate of fire too high. At that point, go ahead and turn your rate of fire down. Once you set your dwell, you can go ahead and fire full auto. Once your settings are there, then you can go ahead and you can adjust your rate of fire to where you want. And then at that point, once you get your rate of fire up too high, it's going to do the same thing. It's just going to hold that valve open, so you have to back it off again. And then you can set it. That's the main issues that we're running into here. So for you guys that are looking for the questions, I got the Q&As on it. That should help you guys out with tuning your SMPs and any issues that you're going to come in contact with adjusting your dwell and rate of fire.